Hi, everyone, and welcome to this virtual open day from the Institute of Molecular Sciences and Engineering at Imperial. I am Professor Amparo Galindo. I'm one of the two co-directors of the Institute, and I'm also a professor of physical chemistry. That was my first training, and my academic position is also in the Department of Chemical Engineering. But as I was saying, welcome to IMSI. So in IMSI, we are one of 7 global institutes of the college. And these are institutes created above the faculties of the college, the 4 faculties that we have, with a mission to facilitate interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary collaborations through areas of interest to the whole of the college, and where we address global challenges. So in particular, IMSI, as I was telling you, is the Institute for Molecular Sciences and Engineering. We work addressing global challenges from the standpoint of problems in which molecules play a central role to delivering accelerated solutions for key problems that we all face. And we do that integrating, as I said, molecular understanding with delivering solutions at an engineering level, so going to higher levels of understanding. And as part of the mission that we have, together with fostering collaboration between the faculties and the academics of Imperial, we have a mission to educate outstanding scientists in these collaborative areas. And this is what we do in this MRes. So we take scientists as well as engineers, and we provide a specifically tailored course to deliver multilingual scientists that then can collaborate with each other. First, bachelor's training of scientists can be quite different from the bachelor training of an engineering. And so what we do is put you together, give you initial courses so that everyone is on the same level, and then put you to collaborate and deliver outstanding education to provide a 1-year training in which you come out as molecular scientists and engineers. And I think that's all I'm going to say from you. I'm going to say today for now, other than to welcome you to the event and to pass you to the directors of the course, some of the teachers in the course, some of the academics, and some alumni and current students. And I hope you enjoyed the open day, and we'll be happy to answer questions later. So with this, I pass over to Professor Kungyang Lee, who is one of the directors of the course. Thanks, Kungyang.
Thank you, Amparo. Hi guys, my name is Kun Yang. I am a professor of polymer engineering at Imperial College London. I sit in the Department of Aeronautics, even though I'm trained as a chemical engineer. And this multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary aspect of IMSI and the program itself, you will see this throughout the whole program. Right. So what I will talk to you about today is what this particular Masters in Research program offer you. So in general, in the UK, we typically split master's program into Masters in Science, MSc, or Masters in Research, MRes. So this particular master's level program is Masters in Research, MRes program. And we actually draw upon multiple departments to provide the best education to you guys. So you can see that you will actually see eventually that we have chemists coming to teach you guys about basic chemistry, chemical engineers, material scientists, mechanical engineers, and even to a certain extent, our colleagues from the Center for Environmental Policy, basically covering all aspects that we think is very important for your education in this particular MRes in molecular engineering program. At the end of the day, we are training students, aka you guys, to be great at performing collaborative research. We equip you guys with the knowledge to work in the industry or to continue on as a PhD, and ultimately exposing you guys to addressing the right research challenges that the industry are facing, and hopefully solve these grand challenges. As Amparo mentioned earlier, Institute for Molecular Science and Engineering always focuses on multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary. Your course, this MRes course, will be taught by multiple professors from multiple departments. And the reason is rather simple. We wanted to create multilingual scientists and engineers that can actually work across different scales. What do we mean by multilingual? So if you're a chemist, you probably understand the language of molecular science. When people talk about density functional theory, you understand what it is. But you could also understand, after attending our course, you could also understand what a chemical engineer is talking about. For example, when chemical engineer talks about optimization, statistical mechanics and optimization, right? You might be able to understand what he or she is talking about. And then when you go on to industry, speak to an industrial partner who sits in the operation of a particular company. When he talks about supply chain management, you will also be able to understand what he or she is actually talking about. That multilingual scientist and engineer is actually what we provide in our training. And to actually achieve that, we basically cover everything from molecular sciences all the way up to an engineering design level. So you will know how to make things, you know how to design things, you know how to manufacture stuff, and you are able to model and measure everything that you have synthesized. So if you join this program, you will actually find that all our students come from a variety of backgrounds. They are not just purely chemists or purely chemical engineers. We have chemists, chemical engineers, we have physicists, we have material scientists, we actually have electrical engineers and mechanical engineers joining our program as well. And again, we don't discriminate based on your background. Ultimately, we wanted these sort of broad skill sets in our cohort such that they can talk to each other and learn from each other. And that's the key thing here, that multidisciplinary conversation to have. Attached with our program is the research project. So normal master's level MSc programs that you find in the UK, they are typically 3 to 4 months of master's research project, at Imperial College London. Our MRes research project is a little bit different. It's actually longer, about 6 months or so, and usually it's at Imperial College as well as with the industrial partner. So you see a list of industrial partners here, BP, BASF, P&G, and they are typically jointly supervised by 2 Imperial professors from 2 different disciplines, as well as the industrial partner. So that actually makes our MRes program very, very different. In terms of what you will be taught, so in term 1, that's October till December, you'll be taught 7 modules that covers the basics from molecular science, molecular engineering, to how do you design molecular systems, how do you model, how to perform multi-scale modeling, how do you make polymers, how do you measure materials, and how do you then scale up for manufacturing itself. We will cover a wide range of topics in these 7 modules in between October and December. And then when we move on to the second term, we will then have your research project, typically starting from February or March. It does depend on that particular year and how the holidays are being structured. Like I said, it's going to be jointly supervised by 2 Imperial academics from 2 very different departments or disciplines, plus an industrial partner. Each research project, and this is actually very interesting, each research project is co-developed with our industrial partner. So usually the Unilever or Imperial Academics or BNA, the British Museum, BP, and Imperial Academics will sit down, talk about problems faced by these industrial partners, and we develop potential research questions to address, and we put that as a project for our students and we'll work with our students, our industrial partners, and our academics to solve that particular industrial research challenge. It could be modeling or could be fully experimental based. We usually have a mixture of everything. Like I said, there's typically an industrial placement 3 months. Most likely in this current climate, it's not going to be a long 3 month in one shot placement, but it could actually be split to sort of multiple weeks of visit to our industrial partners. So if you have a BASF project, then you most likely will end up in Germany for a couple of weeks during the research project. If you are taking a Unilever project, you may end up in Liverpool for a couple of weeks or up to a month at a time to work with our industrial partner Unilever for a particular project. So we will give you the basics of knowledge. We will give you the experience of doing research with an industrial partner, but we will also provide you with the professional skills typically run by our graduate schools on the non-technical aspect of your career. These could actually include your soft skills. How do you manage time better? How do you perform a good do very, very good presentation? These sort of soft skills we will try and instill into the program such that you will become a fully, let's call it rather the perfect person that knows the technical basis, able to answer and solve big industrial research challenges, and at the same time able to write beautiful publications, present things amazingly, and able to work in a group that actually speaks multiple languages. And I think that's all from me. And I think I'll pass it on to Ali, which is the second course director, who is actually from Madison. As you can see, that theme of multidisciplinary spans across the institute. So I'll pass it on to you, Ali.
So hi everyone, and a really warm welcome to the event. So my name's Ali. I'm a lecturer in convergent science. I've established my group here in the Faculty of Medicine in the surgery of cancer. We work on a hospital site. We're actually engineers, microfluidic engineers, mathematicians and physicists, and a lot of analytical chemists amongst our ranks. So very much again, that theme of interdisciplinary science and trying to work at these interfaces and overcome challenges, that real world challenges are inherently at these interfaces, I think is one that's really strong within the course itself, and even the people that run it, and certainly the people that will be making up part of the course, and that's you. So I'm going to be talking today briefly about what you can expect in terms of assessments and what you can expect in terms of the projects, so a little more detail around that. So in general, with the course, you're going to be developing yourselves as multidisciplinary and multilingual scientists, engineers. You're going to be learning and working specifically across the molecular sciences, engineering, and medicinal interfaces. And not that that's enough of a challenge, this will also be set across academia and industry. So you're not going to be exposed just to different subjects and different subject matters, but how those challenges and how those things are approached in two very from two very broadly different perspectives. So the material and how it's assessed has been developed to test and develop these skills over the year that you're with us. So in terms of the assessments, I mean, term one is strongly focused on taught modules. So that's a mixture of lectures, labs, and each of these have their own associated assessed elements. And we start with introductory modules. It is like all postgraduate courses, these are full on, but you are supported quite well. So we have a strong pastoral element to the course and broadly at Imperial as a whole. Fundamentals of molecular engineering, it's one of our first courses, and underpinning molecular science. So that's that entry point into the broader set of courses that you'll progress with. So as you progress from those introductory modules, we go into our core modules, which Kun Yang touched on, span the design of molecular systems, multi-scale modeling. So that really is a nice vehicle to test your modeling skills, to develop those, and certainly if you have had a minimal exposure to, say, programming, then that's a good opportunity there to develop those skills there. And certainly there's a very strong component with analytical measurement and characterization, right? So this is what underpins all of science, and certainly across disciplines, I think very, very certain of how we're going to conduct that science. So the assessments themselves can vary from lab reports for some of the computing modules, presentations to your cohorts, and some of these may be fully assessed or formative. Literature reviews as well. So there's a lot of written and presentation elements there in your assessments, and of course exams. And so each of these courses that you sit will have an examinable element, and this typically is conducted in January. So that bookends that first term of strongly taught modules, and the second and third terms, which span the next 9 months of your time with us, will be strongly focused on your MRes project. Now, each and every project is intrinsically multidisciplinary, right? So there's a theme going through every one of our talks today, and that is multidisciplinarity. And so no matter what your interest, we have a really rich cohort of students from all sorts of disciplinary backgrounds, so mathematicians, physicists, engineers, chemists, biologists. You will be challenged outside your specific subject-specific knowledge, right? So if you are looking to improve just on a specific subject area, this might not be the course for you. If you really want to expose yourself to real-world problems and the grand challenges we face as a society and as a planet, then I think this course really is for you. So these are not toy projects. These are real-world research questions that you will help address over 9 months. So you have 2 supervisors from across the college, and at least one from a supporting industrial partner. We have more projects than students, so this gives you, our cohort, a broad choice of projects, 1, and 2, typically, your first or second choice. And so our projects are submitted the summer before the academic year starts by our supervisors and our industrial partners, and we help them to build really interesting and interesting projects that focus on that multidisciplinary molecular engineering aspect. And the process of, the reason why that's done very early on and before you even get here is because the process of putting agreements in place and arranging these placements is such that it takes a lot of time. And we don't have requests from students to submit bespoke projects. However, there is considerable scope in discussing the project with potential supervisors, see how it may be tailored to your skills or the outcomes you're looking for when studying for a course like this. And so there is some tailoring there, and we really encourage our students to engage with potential project supervisors across the list of projects that are available. And to select a particular project, each of you will submit a short pitch, as you like, justification to our pool of supervisors for a choice of your top 5 projects. And based on the supervisors, you'll be coached to do this, to identify what skills you have, what skills you would like to develop, which subject areas might interest you outside of your core subject knowledge, and we'll try and facilitate and coach you into making those choices. And based on feedback from supervisors and the quality of the justification by student, we match you to each of the projects. Once you're assigned your project, because this is across college and we span multiple campuses, multiple faculties. You're not just scrolled away into the four corners of Imperial. We do develop you as a cohort, and there are many opportunities throughout the project to feed back to your cohort, who will become your friends, and your colleagues, and the wider MRes team. And so by the end of the project, come September time, you'll have prepared a research report, or detailing all the great science that you've been discovering, all the things you wish you would have done, and all the things you have learned throughout this research project. And you'll present that on a presentation day, which is a really exciting day, and it's not just for the students, but us as directors and everyone involved. Be that the supervisors associated with the project and our industrial partners, we all come together on a day to listen to some really good science. That's all I'd like to say for the moment. If there's anything you'd like to explore further from me or any one of the speakers today, we do have a Q&A session at the end. I'm going to hand over now to Professor João Cabral, who's going to talk to us about one of our modules. So, all yours. Yeah.
Thank you, Ali. So my name is João Cabral. I'm a professor of soft matter engineering at Imperial in chemical engineering. And I am a physicist, actually, by training, and really a physical chemist in research, and really thrilled to be coordinating one of the modules at our IMSI MRes. This module I'll tell you about is just one of them, but I think it will give you a flavor of how we structure the teaching and the kind of contents and the diversity of lectures. So the module is on making polymers in its widest sense. And so in the spirit of this integration of molecular sciences and engineering, we start with polymer chemistry. Something quite topical for us now is, of course, the synthesis or the modification of green polymers. The topic is very wide, because even the very nomenclature of what constitutes a green polymer is not clear, and it's not universally accepted by everyone. But so we'll have a few introductory lectures on the synthesis of these green polymers. Think of, say, polymers that are naturally derived, but also polymers that are maybe not naturally derived, but they are biodegradable, or even better, polymers that are both naturally derived and biodegradable. And we'll cover about what that means, what criteria we have for biodegradability and so forth. So that will be the synthesis of the molecule itself, with its descriptors, the size of the molecule, its microstructure, its physical properties, chemical properties, and so forth. Then another lecturer will take over, and she will be covering their behavior in solution. And so once we've synthesized these molecules, we would like to know, well, but how do they behave? What is their conformation? Do they stretch out in solution? For example, will they collapse as globules? Will they adopt some kind of complicated structure like we know from biological molecules? Many of these structured polymers can spontaneously assemble into complicated structures, often useful to us, often structures that we want to control. So another colleague then will tell you about the real sort of statistical mechanics, the science behind the conformations of polymers, and their behavior, their response to the external environment. So once we've covered the molecule, their behavior in solution, then we keep going up in scale, and we talk about performance. And one of the key things in molecular science and engineering is that we like to design the materials, so the synthesis and the processing, with a performance objective in mind. And so we'll give you several examples. In the design of organic electronics, polymers need to meet certain very prescriptive requirements. For example, they are often paired up, as a polymer will be an acceptor, the other one an electron donor, such that they will effectively transform, say, a photon that arrives into electricity, generate a current. And so there are some very specific requirements that we would like these polymers to fulfill. And so this module, this series of lectures from the module will connect the molecular design all the way to application, taking as an example photovoltaics. Other examples we'll cover with membranes, for example. As we know, in addition to energy, one of our pressing societal challenges is with clean water and salt-free water. And so the design, for example, of polymeric membranes such that they can be used to desalinate effectively with a low energy cost in a way that can be integrated into a large system is really a pressing topic for us and one that we'll cover. Finally, at the end, so in keeping with this idea of designing for performance, we'll cover an important area in pharmaceuticals and coatings and in what we call fast-moving consumer goods. You know, the things like detergents and personal care products. And this is the design of microparticles and capsules. So if you think of taking, say, if you have a headache, you take an aspirin or paracetamol. Those powders will have been compacted into a tablet, and the powders were originating from some kind of spray drying event. That's when you take a droplet and you dry it in some kind of large tower, often at the throughput of maybe a ton an hour. And so this last module will connect the design of the polymer molecule to the design of the particle, the solid particle that will then integrate a vehicle for medical delivery, for example, in a pharmaceutical product. And so 4 items, so 4 sort of sets of lectures that this module in making polymers will cover. And to recap, starting from the synthesis of sustainable polymers all the way to application, but critically really connecting one with the other in this very sort of molecular science and engineering way of thinking that we have, such that we don't optimize just for one specific objective. For example, making a polymer with a very high yield. Well, that might be very good in its isolation, but it doesn't solve the integrated problem. So in this module, we'll connect these 2 dots from the design and the synthesis all the way to application. I'll stop over here and I'll pass over to, I guess, the alumni who will tell you about their experiences.
Right. Hello, everyone. My name is Alison Arbour, and I'm one of the alumni of the MRes program. Currently, I'm a first-year DPhil at Oxford with a project in computational material science. My motivation for joining the MRes is that I came from a theoretical chemistry background, and I had a generic idea of what I was interested in for a PhD. I knew I wanted to do something with modeling and something related to chemistry, but I didn't know exactly what that would look like. And so I chose the MRes because it covers such a wide range of areas, and I found the top modules in the fall quite helpful because they do give you an introduction to quite a broad range of fields. From the courses, you won't be an expert after a couple of lectures, but I did find that I had enough of a foundation that I knew some of the terminology, some of the important problems in these areas. And from that, I was confident enough to go on and do my own reading and further research into the subjects that I found interesting. And it gave me a much better idea of what I wanted to do long-term with my PhD. I also found that because you get little bits and pieces from engineering, from chemistry, polymer sciences, I was more confident in applying for PhDs that weren't directly related to my previous experience. And I did get good feedback from the supervisors I interview with because I was able to have a discussion about such a wide range of subjects. For my current group, I'm with Saiful Islam here at Oxford, and we use a wide range of computational techniques. My project right now is focusing on DFT and molecular dynamics, which I did have experience with from the MRes research project I participated in. My group, we also use a wide range of techniques: ab initio, MD, cluster expansions, machine learning. And so from the MRes, there's a machine learning module that has helped me. And there's also a solar cell device fabrication module. And so even though these topics aren't the largest component of my project right now, I did find it helpful that I had that little bit of extra background during the application process. And I found that in general, having such a wide range of study was helpful for me in developing a sense of my own research interests. So I'd be happy to answer any further questions you might have at the end of the webinar.
Hello, yeah, I'm Dominic. I graduated last year with Alison. Yeah, so as has been said a lot, this is a very interdisciplinary course. So a lot of my years experience before was kind of chemistry, chemical engineering, but we had a biomedical engineer, a mechanical engineer, and my background is physics. So coming into it, very interdisciplinary kind of course mates and topics. Yeah, and that really kind of comes through in the taught section and in the projects. So in the taught section, we have a lot of your individual strengths are going to shine a lot more in certain aspects. So for thermodynamics, I did quite well, but then in chemistry kind of stuff, it was stuff that I'd not really covered before. And so there's lots of help from course mates and lots of new areas to cover, whereas other areas that you've done before. And then the project that I was working on was 3D bioprinting cancer cells. And there's loads of different parts to it, but so there's the mechanical engineering kind of part of 3D printing, but there's also the chemistry of we're designing a custom gel to be printed, as well as I've done some simulations, some finite element analysis on it, and microfluidics. It's been a very broad topic. And when I finished that, I stayed on to work as a research assistant in the same group for half a year. And I am looking to work as a research assistant for a bit longer, and to do a PhD at some point. But yeah, I just want to work with it. Yeah, interdisciplinary is really the key part of this, all under the cloche of molecular engineering. There's physics, chemistry, biology, everything, and there's always a place where your skills can shine, but also where areas where you can learn as well. And like I said before, any questions, I'd be happy to answer at the end.
Okay, hello everyone, I'm Griffin. So I actually have a few slides I would like to share with you. So I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully we'll see my slides. Yes, so my name is Griffin Gui, and so I did my MRes course from 2018 to 2019. So first of all, just a little bit about myself. So I'm currently a final year PhD student in the Department of Chemical Engineering at Imperial College, and I work on ChemD. So this is computer-aided molecular design. So I mainly focus on the design of reaction solvent for optimal reaction kinetics, which is of very much interested to industry. And indeed, we collaborate with Eli Lilly, our industrial partner. And also a little bit about what I did before in the MRes, and just really want to show you how I arrive at this point I'm at now. So before in the MRes, I my Bachelor of Engineering in Applied Chemistry at East China University of Science and Technology. So this is a very chemistry course. There is actually not much engineering component in it, even though this is a Bachelor of Engineering. And I had a few project experiences in experimental chemistry, like photoanalytic fabrication, organic synthesis, supramolecular chemistry. So I had really very little experience in process systems engineering and computational chemistry. But these two topics are actually what I'm doing now. So what enables me to make the transition, so I guess you can expect I want to talk about in the MRes. I would not say it's 100% like because of EVMRS, but this course did equip me, taught me a lot of skills, which is required for doing my current PhD. So just quickly reiterate probably what has been covered before by Amparo, Kong-Yang, and Ali. So first off, this course covers a wide range of useful topics. So these are some of the topics which are currently used in my PhD. So they're all very useful, like multi-scale modeling. It's really interesting to look at molecule, across different scales. And we have lectures from various backgrounds, which has been talked about. And we have projects involved with computational experimental components, especially for some projects. For my example, I did my project in collaboration with Syngenta. I spent 3 months at Imperial to do computational work, and I spent another 3 months at Syngenta and used their equipment to do some experimental measurements. And also, I personally feel this because this is a Master of Research degree, so it can better prepare you for a PhD or other research-based jobs. And you can get supervision from both academia and the industry. And also in my year, so we did internship, with some world-renowned companies. So some of my coursemates, they went to Eli Lilly and not PNG, BASF, 2 of them. And also, this is a very, small group of students in this course usually, and which means that you can get more personalized class experience and more friendly and supportive learning environment, which was indeed what we felt. Okay, so and for me, after the MRes, I had quite a few options. So I didn't apply for industrial job because I really want to stay in academia to do a PhD. So the interesting thing, actually, which also surprised me at the time, is that I got 3 offers. They're in 3 different subjects. So PhD in chemical engineering, so this is at Imperial, what I'm doing now. PhD in chemistry at Oxford, and PhD in physics, actually, in Cambridge. And I think this somehow really, the benefits, because of the benefits I get from this very multidisciplinary course. And some of my coursemates, most of them, they're doing PhD. So one of them is at Imperial Materials. One of them is in the, I think, Department of Chemistry at UCU. And the other 2, they went to Singapore, the National University of Singapore, and then a German university for their PhD. So, and also we have a colleague who is a school teacher now. And so I guess this is how I felt. I did more opportunities to be hired as a multilingual and a multidisciplinary science engineer, and it can be also reflected, in outcome of the graduates of this course. And I guess that's all I would like to share. And I'm happy to answer any questions in the Q&A session, or you can send me email. Okay, thank you.
Hi everyone, can you hear me? And nice to meet you all here. And my name is Kelly Dong, and I graduated from University of Toronto last year. I'm the current student of MC, and I was majored in mathematics and physics. And my current research project is a multidisciplinary project, which requires a deep understanding on the quantum chemistry and physics and computer science algorithm, and et cetera, and et cetera. So these courses will be provided by MC in our modules, and which I find is pretty fascinating and challenging. And the most thing I enjoy from MC is I actually learn a lot here. And like for our current students and the future students, I think you will have a lot of access to the professional knowledges from the different academic fields, and including some of the state-of-art techniques under the recent research. So that's going to be like really, really helpful for your project, I think. And also you will have a really great research project here that's also offered by our department. And this project is going to be a good and smooth transitions from an undergraduate student to a well-trained researcher. And I think you will be well prepared after these projects for the future PhD degree studies. And also you will have chances to work with the experts in the fields and you're really interested in. And my experience in London is pretty well, actually. And London is a beautiful city with a lot of cultural and historical sites. So don't hesitate to take your spare times to take a walk in the city. And I think London is also a really beautiful and calm city. And it is busy for the transportation things. And also you have various choices of activities after school. You can either go for a shopping or you can go to watch some musicals, but also a calm and ideal place if you want to do some research. And you won't have too much disturbance here, actually, I think. And for the future studies, I think I will go for a PhD studies after graduated here. And I hope it will follow the projects that I'm doing right now. And since it's a really interesting idea. And actually something interesting is that I don't even know what I am doing right now before I come to MC. So it is the knowledge that I learned here actually helped my research projects. And it's really, really nice projects. And I'm ready for the Q&A sections if you have any questions.
Everyone, I'm Yihuan, a current MC student. And I'm just going to talk about my field about the courses because I haven't started my research programs yet. So I graduated from UCL as a chemist. So what I mostly studied about was the chemical theory parts. So when I first came into MZ and started on the courses, I found there are a lot of unfamiliar subjects to me, such as polymers, manufacturing stuff, and so on. And therefore I did have a lot of difficulties when trying to first learning them. But because we're multidisciplinary courses, there are classmates from very different and many backgrounds. So I found there are always classmates who are experts in those topics I'm not familiar about. So discussion has become a very important part of my study experience. And because I think MZ is it's not an enormous group and we're tightly bounded. So that unique and very certainly enjoyable discussion atmosphere, you can't really find that in a large lecture hall, let's say. So that's what I love the most about studying MZ. And also I think the courses that MZ provides you will help you to reinforce your knowledges, even those you have learned it a lot. Like for example, as a chemist, I'm certainly very familiar with the use of IR, but what I mostly know about was how to interpret the IR spectrum, so how to use the result of IR and how to operate the instrument and stuff. But what I didn't quite know much about, or what I skipped through while studying IR was the principal part, how the instrument actually work. So in the MC course, there's a course called Measuring, which is basically an introductory to instrumental analysis. In that course, I really got to learn about the mechanism and actually give a presentation myself about the principle of FTIR. And so going through that course made me really learn about the whole story of FTIR, and which I believe will help me my future study a lot, because who doesn't use IR, right? And also another example, when I was doing the course called molecular simulation, I got to do assignment which is very related to thermodynamics. So I had to look up a lot of information such as literatures and books about thermodynamics. And that was the first time in my life that I ever understood, really understood a 3D phase diagram of a simple liquid. It's definitely important for chemists, for me, but somehow I just skipped it through when I was learning it during my undergraduate study. So I think, these topics and these skills and knowledges you learn in MC will really help you to being more capable and certainly more confident for your future researches, and which is the reason why I'm encouraged to stay in the academia and go for a PhD in the future. Well, I think that's about it.
Thanks, everyone. So those of you in the audience, you should have an idea of what the course is like from an academic perspective, as well as the perspective of people that have gone through the course and are currently going through the course. This is now where we, open up for some Q&As, and we've got a few in the window. So I'm going to start with the first one. So someone asks, do I need a high level of knowledge in engineering to apply for the course? I'm going to ask Amparo first to answer that, if you can.
Hi, Ali, can you repeat the question? Sorry, I was...
Yeah, of course. So someone asks, do I need a high level of knowledge in engineering to apply for the course?
No, so absolutely not. I think, thanks, especially all the students and alumni for your presentations. They were great. And hopefully they gave, those listening a good feel for the course. No, so the intention, we have an intake of scientists, so people that come from bachelor degrees in science, in physics, in maths, with no background on engineering at all. We also have some that are engineers, and they will have no scientific training as such. And the intention of our course is, to take you all together and take you through this, let's say, through this year where you all end up with equal skills where you can work together. So for those of you without engineering skills, the course is designed to provide exactly those, how to work, how to go from the detailed scientific understanding of things to viewing problems at a higher level, which is what engineers do. And also the big difference is engineers are very focused on solutions. How do you go from understanding in detail a phase diagram, like one of the students was discussing, to how does that phase diagram impact the decisions that you make in a process to then deliver a product. And so the course will deliver you the tools to understand precisely that. So you don't need engineering training at all, in short. Sorry, long answer.
Thanks, Amparo. I hope that answers what I'd like to do. Can I ask Alison, could you expand on that from a student's perspective, and perhaps if as someone who was interested in chemistry, you had a particularly multidisciplinary project, could you give us a flavor of your answer to that question, and not necessarily in engineering?
Yeah, I completely agree with what Amparo said. I have no background in engineering whatsoever, and you are taught from the fundamentals, so you're not expected to come in with any pre-existing knowledge. You'll be taught everything you're expected to know. And of course, in the cohort, there will be some engineers. So we found that we were able to have a good discussion within the cohort. The engineers helped the chemists with the engineering and vice versa. So I absolutely wouldn't not do the course just because you feel like you don't have a particular background. I think it's suited to a wide variety.
Thank you. So we have, we've got some easy ones I'm going to run through actually. So are the industrial projects mainly in person or online? These are in person. The events of the last few years did necessitate some of these being online, but we are now fully in person. What types of industrial partners would I work with on my project? Well, can I bring in Kunyang and Xiao for that, please? I think you, Kunyang, could you start off with a nice overview of the types of industrial partners that we engage with and have projects with?
Yep. So the industrial partners that we typically have projects with include big companies, Unilever, P&G, BASF, BP, or SMEs like Polymateria, and also we also have the national laboratories as well as charities, so like the British Museum, for example. So these would be your typical industrial partners. So I missed the second question.
No, that was it. And perhaps Zhao as well.
Yeah, happy to comment, for example, to give you a bit of a case study. For example, let's say that a company like BASF is interested in understanding how, say, crystallization of a given new molecule takes place. And they would like to do that in their complex reactors, so under flow. And so we'll put together some supervisors from the company as well as with the university, and then we'll design a project together, and we'll effectively construct something that can be addressed within that finite period. Typically, the project has a component which is at Imperial, and that really provides you with a basis so that you don't get thrown into a company like, you know, no one likes to be unprepared when you are at an external partner like a big company where you might even want to have a job in the future. So we'll prepare you beforehand and with the fundamentals, the techniques, but also a bit of the expected research culture, such that once you arrive there, you pretty much know what the fundamentals of the project are. You'll get to know the local team, so there will be a counterpart team at the company, and then the project runs with meetings generally weekly between the supervisors at the company and within the university, and of course the student herself or himself. Typically, that within companies we work with a very professional way, so students will present maybe weekly. So it's a bit of an introduction to how you work in a professional organization. And so when you come back, then you'll wrap up the project, give a presentation to both your colleagues, the company, other companies that you were not directly involved with, but who can also be interested in what you were doing. Very chances are that they are. And so these research placements are, I think, very interesting for both the student and as well as for the academics and the companies, because they do what they call de-risk a project. So you have an idea which might be even a little bit crazy. And so that project allows them to scope out, is it feasible? Is it maybe material for a PhD, or is it even ripe for an application already industrially? So generally, people come back, I think, there is a pre-project and there is a post-project. When you come back from the industrial placement, you kind of come back a different person with a different mindset, I think. I think you'll enjoy it.
Thanks, Jared. It's a really good case study there. And I think in terms of other parts with the NHS, certainly from the healthcare side, major facilities, national facilities like the STFC, so the Science and Technologies Facilities Council, is a big partner there. Department of Governmental departments as well, so Department of Health and Social Care. So a broad range across medicine, engineering, and business as well, and the natural sciences. So if you are interested in learning more, do look on the IMSI website for more case studies. Certainly look on our websites and to see the types of people and partners we work with. I will say that there is a growing biotechnology hub and ecosystem in the White City, South Ken area. And so if you're interested in working in startup environments or SMEs, then we work with those strongly too. So okay, so for the alumni, we're going to go for this question. For the alumni, how did the MRes help you choose your path after the course? Alison, could you kick us off, please, and then we'll look through to Griffin and.
Yeah, mentioned I came from Europe, and my project my previous research project before the MRes was a very theoretical analysis of excital dynamics in conjugated polymers vaguely related to solar cells. But I knew I liked something computational, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with it. And I knew I wanted something more applied than what I had been doing. And so, as I mentioned, you get introduced to lots of areas. I found the machine learning module very interesting. There is a device fabrication module I found very interesting. And so through that, I got the idea to look into computational material science, which isn't something I had ever considered before. And ultimately, that's what had led me to the PhD. So I do think you get enough of an introduction to figure out what you're interested in, and then you can run from there and ultimately make a good decision.
Awesome. Thank you. And Griffin, could you give us your perspective as well?
Yeah, of course. So for me, I actually had the preference over academia before taking this course. The good thing is that because before in the MRes, I didn't really have much experience in industry, so I didn't really interact with a lot of companies. But from this internship, in the MRes, I actually went to the company site, and I had my spot in the office, and I work with the people at Syngenta. I used their facilities, so I actually experienced the life working as an process engineer at Syngenta, in Bracknell, for 3 months, and that was actually pretty good experience. But I think the most important thing is that experience, helped me, choose between academia and industry. After the internship, I still feel I like academia more. I like academia in the sense that it gives more flexibility, more freedom to do the research I would like to do. So that's why I choose to do a PhD in the end. But I wouldn't, be so confident or wouldn't be so sure without taking the internship from the MRes. So I would say definitely, it helps you to choose the career path. It gives you some very good idea.
Thank you both. That's fantastic. We're going to end on the final question. Is it possible to take an MRes after a Master of Science? And if not, is it possible to take a PhD in molecular science and engineering? Yes, it is. Absolutely. I after my undergraduate degree, I was interested in optics and photonics and took a Master of Science there. During that MSc, it was a very short summer project actually, but that's what really got me interested in microfluidics, more biological applications of spectroscopy and optics. And so I continued with an MRes in chemical biology that helped me onto a PhD in single cell proteomics. So yes, it is definitely possible. People do it a lot of the time, and so don't be put off if you already have a master's in science and really want to like Griffin and Alison was saying, that if you want to explore research and for a year and see, if you want to commit to 4 or 5 years to a PhD, then MRes such as this a really good option and opportunity. There are other questions, but I must draw it to a close. So I'm really going to encourage everyone to, if you want to learn more, please get in touch through the MZ website and reach out to anyone here today. So again, I'd like to thank everyone, especially our alumni and our current students who are doing fantastic work and are pursuing some really exciting careers. And yeah, thank you for everyone in the audience and have a good day.